Oh my gosh, did I
Did you get
just
filleted?
yeah, did I
Yeah.
just get canceled myself?
Yeah. Herod basically gets a lot of accolades, right, for having him killed. The 4 guards that were assigned to him, because that was a really excessive.
So at one point they're like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And then their next breath, they're having him crucified.
We swing in our politics, we swing in our in culture,
Yeah,
in
that's what I was gonna
social
say.
acceptance.
It's like, what if we had the courage to say something, to stick up, to, speak our mind and our core beliefs and stuff like that? Because we have to rely on faith, and we're very tangible beings. We need to see, touch, smell, and hear this thing. And so many of us in our life, we don't step back and take a look out and look at the whole problem, the whole situation. We learn by our mistakes. Welcome to the Open End Podcast. My name is Mike, and we are going to be talking. We're in the book of Acts right now, and so we just had a message on Acts 12 with Pastor Kathleen, and she is joining me today. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Give us a little synopsis about what your message was about on Acts 12.
Acts 12 is just kind of piled. There's a lot in there because there's a lot of moving pieces. We've got the first death of an apostle, not the first martyr. Stephen has already been martyred, but we see that James has been martyred. He's been arrested by Herod, and James has been martyred. James has been killed. Says by the sword. Historically, if you kind of look up historically, it's a pretty safe assumption. I think historians would really lean toward it. Looks like he's been beheaded. So that's a deal. And it's really interesting right there at the beginning of Acts 12. It says that Herod basically gets a lot of accolades, right, for having him killed. And so Herod, he likes the pat on the back. He likes the accolades. He likes that he's made the people happy. And so it says basically because of this, which is crazy, people liked that I had somebody killed, so we're gonna do it again. So it says that then he has Peter arrested. So Peter then is arrested and he's sitting in jail, and the bulk of the message that we talked about was really what happens at that point with Peter specifically. In his mind and his emotions, what happens to him when he's in jail. There was a miraculous move. We do see a miraculous move, but kind of all the things that fed up to what was actually happening in Peter specifically while he's sitting in that jail. And I know that we had talked a little bit in the message about the 4 pillars, and I made reference to the 4 pillars being the 4 guards that were assigned to him, because that was a really excessive level of guards to put on Peter. It was really kind of ridiculous. There was usually, the 1 guard that has been, assigned to a prisoner, and Peter's got 4. And so I really made reference to those 4 guards kind of being the 4 pillars of how we see the enemy really try to come in and motivate us, move us, stifle us, bind us. And so I know that you had more probably that you wanted to talk about that, because I could just take off. I could just start talking right now. There was just so much in there, and it was so good. But the 4 pillars we kind of talked about in the message would be represented by the 4 guards that are guarding Peter, who is arrested by a Herod who wants to be the popular guy, and he feels like having Peter arrested is going to make him even more popular because he just had poor James killed, and people liked it. So it's just so much politically happening there. There's so much socially happening there, but particularly in Peter, there's a whole bunch happening mentally and emotionally and spiritually in the midst of being in that prison. And it was just a really cool, just evaluation way to look at Acts chapter 12. There's just a lot of meat in there that's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And it's going through the notes and going back over the sermon too. You illustrated a lot of good points of how we can incorporate some of that stuff in our own life when we're going through certain things, which I think was where you're going with it. But I want to step back in. You brought up another good point that, well, there's a couple of things there. One is that
There's so much there.
that they had James killed, right?
Yes.
And
Brother of John. James, brother of John.
He had him killed, and everybody really rejoiced over it. But just not too long before that, they were loving this guy Jesus that was walking around with these disciples. And it always surprises me how fast the crowd and the mob mentality changed, right?
Yes.
So at one point they're like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And then the next, like their next breath, they're having him crucified and killed. And now they're having all the disciples like sought after and killed too.
Right. They're after these guys.
Right.
I mean, I think that is what you just said, though. It's mob mentality. It's this easy shift of yay, Jesus, and go disciples, and go apostles, and blah blah, and then the mob shifts. It's the popular opinion, right? It's the swing of the popular opinion, and so you feel the mob shift, the influence shift, and all of a sudden the people start to shift too, which you see later, which we didn't even talk about in the message. You see later in Acts 12 come when you see that shift start to happen, and and the people again are like, woo, Herod, he's amazing. We don't even need a God. He's the God. And you'll see it later in Acts 12. They start making some off statements about Herod being God-like.
Wow.
And then it's a really quick little passage. And then like Herod, I can't even remember how the passage goes, but basically something happens to his stomach and Herod dies. But if you research it just a little bit and you get some historical context, which I find fascinating, is the historian Josephus talks about this exact moment when Herod has addressed the people start referring to Herod as a god. They're really, if you look up the history of it, it's so interesting that the people are really trying to get on Herod's good side because he is he's their bread and butter. He's feeding them. He's making sure that they're getting food in their villages and in their cities and their areas. And so they're really like, woo, Herod, he's butter in our bread. We got to keep the guy. So they start referring to him as a god. And we know that this same guy, this Herod this is the guy he's killed James, right? He's had Peter arrested. He's doing all of these things to gain influence and popularity. And now he's standing later in Acts 12. He's standing in front of these people who are like, woo, he's Herod. He's amazing. He's awesome. He's like a god. And God's like, all right, we're done. All right, that's it. And what Josephus says is that within days of him addressing this group and allowing them to refer to him as a god, that he is God-like, Josephus records that historically that his stomach was infested with worms who turned on him, and it was such a horrid infestation that within 5 days of this speech to these people and this praise, whatever thing that they had going where they're just saying that he's godlike. Within 5 days, this crazy infestation kills him dead.
Wow.
And you see it in the Bible. I mean, in the Bible, it looks like it happened in the moment, and then there was this issue with the stomach, and boom, Herod was dead. But Josephus, the historian, actually records it, that this happened at this speech, at this whatever time that he's spending with the people, and that within 5 days, due to this horrible, horrible stomach infestation, gross, that Herod falls
Right.
over dead.
Not they turned on him.
And they
Not
and
only-
they turned and it's exactly what you said though. It's this whole crowd mentality and how it shifts and goes back and forth.
Yeah. And like you can see it, we're doing it right now in politics. We've been doing it
We
for
do it
ages in politics.
All the time.
Yep.
Yeah, we do. Not just. I mean, yes, but it's not just in politics. We swing.
Yeah.
As humans,
Mm-hmm.
we swing in our politics. We swing in our in culture,
Culture, yeah,
in
that's what I was
social
gonna say.
acceptability, and in all of the different things of what's okay, what's not okay, what's moral, what's immoral, what's truth, what's not truth. Is there absolute truth? Is there not absolute truth? And it applies to politics, but it's in almost every aspect of our lives and what we do. We tend as individual humans, but in our crowd mentality as human groupings to swing according to the crowd mentality, for sure. For sure.
Scott and I were just talking about that on last episode too, is that if you could only imagine what society and what the church would look like if we would just stick up for what our beliefs are.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that like when I see it a lot of the times, and I hear it from my own people that think, or the people that think the same way that I do or have the same beliefs that I do, when the mob mentality is going crazy, but we know it's not right in our hearts, and we're like, you guys are like just lost your minds right now. But we stay quiet
Right.
about it because we fear that the mob mentality is going to take us over if we buck the system, right? Scott and I were talking about that. It's like, what if we had the courage to say something, to stick up, to, speak our mind and our core beliefs and stuff like that?
Do you think though that the core fear there is that the mob mentality is going to take over, or that we are going to be judged and persecuted if we don't align with the mob mentality, so we just stay quiet?
I think a lot of it is your fear of being canceled publicly, personally, whatever, being judged.
Judged and persecuted.
Yeah, a lot of us don't care, and
Yeah.
like Scott was saying, if we see something that is core morally wrong, like if they're out there on the streets having sex in front of kids, for example, or something like that, if they go to an extreme like that.
yeah.
Yeah, just like some of the stuff that has happened in the past, like you gotta speak up. You gotta do something about it.
Right.
You can't just sit by and look at and watch it happening. But some of the other stuff like DEIB and the whole Sydney Sweeney thing going on right now, and
What's DIB? Hold on. Educate me.
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh,
belonging.
DIE. I heard DI.
DIEB.
And I was like, what? Okay,
I
DIE.
I slur my words quite a bit. I can't enunciate properly. But things like that, that's certain movements where we kind of just go, all right, where's this going? What's happening? And the whole American Eagle genes thing right now has me kind of like, okay, where's this
Yeah.
going? Why is it happening? Why are we paying
Don't
so
you
much
kind
attention
of
to it?
question like the why behind the what? Like, where did this come from? How is this blown up? There's
Yeah.
got to be a greater motivation behind, what is the why behind the what
Right.
on all of it? And I mean, it applies to that particular question, but probably a lot of other ones too. for sure.
The whole commercial thing, I'm like, have you guys seen Carl's Jr.'s commercials lately? They're like, they are horrible. And some of the other stuff that I see on secular TV, regular TV, I'm like, you guys are complaining about this one, but what about this other one
It's
that's
all
going
over.
on?
Yeah, it's all over.
Yeah, exactly. The whole politics thing is a whole nother thing. And I just asked a simple question on social media one time when Doge was doing their whole thing, trying to find waste, fraud, and abuse, right? And I just asked that question. I was like, why are you guys so mad that we're trying to reduce our deficit just a simple question. And I was like, oh my gosh, did I
Did you get
just,
filleted?
did
Yeah.
I just get canceled myself?
Yeah.
Type of thing. So much that then the comments started getting so bad that I actually had to take the post down. I'm like, you guys, we're not being a productive conversation anymore.
Right.
And I had a lot of productive conversations on Sidebar and in the Messenger app, which was really good, healthy conversations. But the other stuff was really bad. And then,
So it goes from conversational to just attack oriented, right?
yeah, it's starting to be ugly. And then Trump freaking increases our debt. And I'm like, dude, it's not what I voted for. You did the exact opposite of what you said you were going to do.
Things just swing. But again, look, I'm not comparing. Don't come at me. I'm not
You don't
talking
have to
about
answer for that.
any.
I don't care if people
No.
come after me.
But I think it's good. I think it's good conversation. Because even what we're looking at in Acts chapter 12 is so politically motivated. So much of what Herod is doing
it's a lot like what's going on.
core political motivations. We're seeing the same thing in 2025. We might see it differently. So I don't, again, we're not talking about if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're a Trumper or a, whatever. But we're still talking about that no matter which side of the political coin you're on, you are going to see politicians telling the crowd what they want to hear, or the crowd telling the politician what they want to hear, and you're going to see both of them, from the politician to the crowd, you're going to see both of them swing according to that crowd, that mob mentality. It has been happening since way before the time of Jesus. It continues to happen. We talk about, don't forget our history, because we have to learn from history, right? That we have to learn from history. Are we really learning from history? Because I see that we're doing some of the same things just over and over and over and over again. And it is just that swing of political influence according to political opinion, and it's very interesting, because we're seeing the exact same things play out in Acts chapter 12. We're seeing the exact same things play out.
Yep. And a lot of it is because generationally we forget. After a couple of generations, we forget that we just did this a couple of generations ago, because nobody's around that remembers it, right?
It didn't even take a couple generations. We forget what we did last year.
Yeah.
It comes right back around. Saying something could have happened last year, and all of a sudden we're doing the same things and going, how did we not learn this lesson last week or last month or last year, and we're still doing the same stuff?
Just putting a different name on it.
Yeah.
It's like, so we're going through a rechange or a reorg kind of in our company right now, professionally too. And that's what the CEO was saying. She's like, you know what? We're going to write this down and we're going to memorialize this. So in 10 years, because I've been this month, I've been with the company for 19 years, and I've seen it happen twice already, go back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you guys didn't learn the first time that it didn't work, and now we're going back to the exact way that you thought was the better way before. And so she is memorializing it in history in the archives to be able to, for future CEOs to reference back to it, to be able to see, okay, this is what we did, this is what our thought process was, and it didn't work. This is what happened because of it, etc. Yeah. So hopefully we don't.
This was the why behind the what. This is how it played out. So that if somebody ever comes back to this again and says, why are we doing this? We can go, we've done it before. Yeah. What did that look like? Yeah, that's smart.
And she's doing it with an unbiased opinion, so it's not tailored in any one direction.
Yeah.
To influence the future leaders of the company, which I feel like that we should do, or we have done in our own society, is we've memorialized a lot of this stuff. We have enough stuff written down, especially with the digital age now. We have video proof of the chaos. So maybe a picture is worth 1,000 words. Maybe these videos are going to be much more impactful on our future decisions. We'll be able to search it real quick. Like, what will happen if we do X, Y, and Z? And all these videos will pop up, and the mad chaos is going to happen. That's what's going to happen.
This is, don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it. Yeah.
Here's a whole string of things that happen. All right. Sorry, we kind of divested a little bit, but
It's all connected. It's okay.
yeah, it was. It is all connected. It's exactly connected with what Herod was doing back then, what they have been doing for centuries. All right. So one of the discussion questions that I had for this first point being Herod was, have you ever seen the desire for approval in your own life affect or influence your decisions? Do you want to talk about it?
I mean, don't we all? I mean, really, don't we
Yeah.
all?
Yeah, we do.
I think that's just human nature, period. We all want approval, right? We all want people to like us. I do, if we could look at the personality traits, the choleric, sanguine, and melancholy and phlegmatic, I've got a lot of sanguine in me. And one of the negatives, that you have to be aware of in yourself, like watch for the maturity markers in a sanguine is
What's a sanguine?
the sanguine personality. You'll be shocked by this, Mike. The sanguine personality is like easy to talk, doesn't, can't walk into a room of strangers, talks to everybody in the grocery store line. I do. And
So Enneagram 7.
I don't remember the Enneagrams.
Where does the sanguine test come from? Where did you do that?
The Personality Plus,
All right.
Florence.
Got it. So it's part of a personality test. And
Yes, I
you're
believe
a
it's called
sanguine.
Personality Plus. So sanguine is like life of the party, talks to people all the time, blah, 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 blah. But one of the negatives is really wants people to like them and really wants people's approval. And so a mark of maturity in the sanguine is, can you get past having the need for approval so much so that you will compromise your decisions or your behaviors or whatever it might be in order to get approval. And I mean, it's interesting because I can look back at being a kid, being a teenager, becoming a young adult and going into the workforce, just many different moments where I can go, yeah, I can see wanting people's approval there. And I probably wouldn't have done that, or I would have done that differently or whatever, had I not wanted that boss's approval or that coworker's approval or whatever. And so, I can just see it in different areas of my life all over the place. And I really, maybe I'm bordering on some line of maturity that I really do catch myself now when I'm making a decision or what have you. I do pause and I'm like, okay, is this the best decision for whatever it is, for me and my family? Or is this the best ministry decision? Is this the most sound decision to make for the health of the church or for the health of the staff? And am I putting aside, I'm not going to make everybody happy. Somebody's not going to like whatever decision that I'm going to make. And again, whether that's in my family or whether that's in the church or whatever, somebody is not going to like my decision. And so put it all aside. I have to, I am learning at greater and greater levels, I hope, to respond instead of react when it comes time to make a decision about something, to really pause for a little bit and not be so worried about the approval of others, because I have seen way too many times, if the approval of others have influenced my decision, that I've made poor decisions in the past, for sure. Yeah.
Good. I was going to talk to you more about that later on in the discussion too. I have that in my notes, but that's great that you said that, because one of the best pieces of advice that I got from a boss was, if she said, if I can walk out of a meeting with 80% of the people liking me still, I will consider that a win for that meeting. She's like, 20% of the people are probably not going to like me. And she said, to be honest with you, it's more like the other way around to being a boss.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yep. Sometimes you got to make those hard decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I can notice so many times in my life where the desire for approval, because I'm an Enneagram 7, I want everybody to like me, right?
Do you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was rough during my younger years. Up until probably 3 years ago? No. 8 years ago, maybe? I don't know.
He's just now coming out of those
Just
younger
coming out,
years.
coming around. All right, so next part was going on to Peter's transformation, which is so funny because you talked about this a lot. Was Peter peacefully sleeping
Yeah.
while he's in prison, despite the knowing that James had just been beheaded, and all the martyrdom that was going to probably come because he's got 4 guards around him and it's coming up.
He knows he's going.
Yeah. And he's able to sleep peacefully. And to be honest with
Yeah.
you, I can sleep pretty peacefully too. It's kind of, I think you and I are, well, I think that you and Joe are a lot like Jennifer and I are. Like, I can sleep peacefully through anything, knowing that tomorrow is going to be something that I have to worry about. And then I may be wrong, and then Jennifer's opposite. If something's going on tomorrow, she cannot sleep peacefully tonight.
Just thinking.
about it. Yeah.
I was like, where are you going with that?
Yeah,
Because I do
exactly.
not. Yeah. My mind is going
Right.
like a million miles a minute. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, there are certain circumstances where it bugs me, and I'm up at night thinking about it and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think I would be like Peter. I'm like, I need to get some sleep tonight. There's nothing I can do about it right now, so I'm going to go to sleep.
I think that was a real mark of maturity that he had come to that place. I don't think that was typical of Peter and typical of his personality.
Because Peter cut off the ear of the guard when in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? Mm-hmm. When they came up, he was the
Peter was like
overreactor.
ready to, like he was ready to scrap.
Always
Yeah.
ready to fight.
Yeah. I think I've said a few times recently, I think I'm like Peter. Because Peter was like,
Are you ready to fight all the
Yeah,
time?
well-
ready to go?
like, no, but maybe. Because I'm like, let's do this. You know, what's the right thing to do? Let's, we're going to move forward. We're going to do this. We're going to, take the ground. We're going to tackle. We're going to go. I can kind of tend to do that. And I think that I've learned probably in the last like 6 months, and I even said it here in the hallways one day. I was talking to a couple of people. Garrett was one of them. I can't remember who all I was talking to. And I go, I think I'm like Peter. I think I just like on the fly, like real quick, something will happen and I make a very definitive statement. Like that will never happen again. Or, well, this is what I'm going to do this or this or this or, whatever. And then I enter into conversation. I go, okay, what's the whole scenario? Whatever. Then I start talking about it, thinking about it, and I'm like, okay. And yes, in my mind, that statement of that will never happen is still true because I'm like, that will never happen again like that. But what I said was that will never happen. But that might not be a true statement because it might happen again, but it may never happen again like that. That might not have gone well. That might have been a huge train wreck. But, don't throw out the whole train with the parts that are laying there. Get rid of the broken pieces and put it back together and you've still got a good train kind of thing.
Right.
And so I think I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like Peter. I make these really definitive statements and then I'm like, oh, well, I didn't mean it like that. And he kind of did, the same thing. I'm going to fight with you. Whatever happens to you, Jesus, it can happen to me too.
Right, yeah.
And that lasted, 5.3 seconds. And then he's like, nope, not doing that.
Always and never are really definitive words. Try to never use them when you're fighting or never use them when you're in an argument, trying to prove a point. Mm-hmm. It's a core marriage tip right there. Never and always.
That's a freebie, just for you.
Yeah, that is a freebie.
Yeah, it's just for you.
Free consultation. Yeah, I kind of look at it too as when Jesus was sleeping in the boat in the storm and everybody's freaking out. He's like, what are you guys worried about, man? So I think that's where you're going with that too. Peter was just growing and he's learning to trust.
Very much so. Because the difference that we see on the night that Jesus was arrested, we see a very fear-filled, we see a doubting, to be fair, a doubting Peter. Doubting. I mean, here's this Jesus that was supposed to come in and they're waiting for him to take over.
Yeah.
He's going to be the ruler. He's going to do that. He just got arrested. And over the course of the night, it wasn't a good night for Jesus.
Right.
And, I think there was some doubt. I don't know how there couldn't be. Have I been following this guy for 3 years? And thinking he's going to come in and kick butt and take names, and he got arrested. And now what? What have I been doing with the last 3 years of my life? I mean, you know how our brains just go. And so I think that he's fearful. I think that he's doubting. I think that he's scared of retribution. He's scared that he's going to get arrested, and most of this is happening up here, right? Most of this is this intellectual struggle that he's having that very much affects his emotions. Like, he's afraid. I think it's cyclical. His emotions are affecting his thoughts. His thoughts are affecting his emotions for sure. And he's running the whole night. If you look at the scripture, all night long, he's out in town. And people are saying, hey, aren't you? I don't know what times, 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever.
Why was a little girl up at 2 o'clock in the morning, though?
That's good. Well, she was a little servant girl, wasn't she?
Oh, she was serving. I see.
And so he's out doing this stuff. He's doing whatever all night long, but he's not sleeping.
Right.
He's freaking out. And then scripture tells us when the crow,
Rooster crowed.
Thank you. When the crow.
You said that in the
When the crow.
service, too.
Did I do that?
You
It's not a
corrected
crow.
yourself. But
When
you
the
corrected yourself.
rooster crows. Did I do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
well,
corrected
whatever.
yourself, though.
I didn't just catch myself just now, but I knew it was wrong. When the rooster crows the third time, like, he loses it. I mean, that's what scripture says.
Yeah.
Kind of, he's like, oh my gosh, it's exactly what Jesus said was going to happen. And I think even too, in all of his, probably where he was spinning out in his head all night long, is that moment of the rooster just did, oh my gosh, exactly what he said was going to happen just happened. And so it kind of like grounds him real quick again, like, oh, okay, hold on. But fast forward, and now we've got Peter, who was afraid of being arrested before, but now he has been arrested. He was afraid of being persecuted before, now he is being persecuted. He was afraid of being, I don't know, paying the consequences, the physical, the floggings and the beatings and the, whatever before, but now he's going to be, James was just killed. This is not looking good. You got 4 guards on you.
Every time they
and
talk
he's
about
sleeping.
stoning somebody, too, I'm like, that has got to be a horrible way.
Can't.
Like,
Yeah.
I've accidentally seen a video of somebody being stoned before on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I cannot unsee that. But man, just
How do you accident? Don't even tell me how you accident.
I don't know. I'm like, Facebook's the worst. Facebook videos, they show me stuff that I do not want to see. Even though you're like, not interested, or dislike it. So I just quit watching videos on Facebook.
This is why
YouTube's
I
a lot
stay
better.
off of Facebook, boys and
Yeah,
girls.
I'm almost there.
I don't even. And then all the comments and all the things get ugly. I don't need it in my life. I'm like, no, I don't need it. I don't need it. But the bottom line is, we see a crumbling Peter the night that Jesus was arrested, and now we see an arrested Peter, and he's sleeping. And so I think we see a major growing, maturing, spiritual giant emerging in Peter that wasn't there before.
It's a good point. And I've often, there's been times in my Christian walk where I've like doubted my faith. I'm like, why am is this Jesus guy? What did he really, was he, so long ago, I have no proof. All I have is faith. That's all that I have. And I catch myself doing that from time to time. For a long time, I would never say the quiet part out loud until I finally did. And then everybody's like, oh, I do that once in a while too. I do that once in a while too. And then I started seeing it on different sermons or something that I was watching with people that I admire and respect in the faith world. And I'm like, oh, you feel that way from time to time too? I'm like, wow, okay.
Right.
But it makes total sense because we have to rely on faith, and we're very tangible beings. We need to see, touch, smell, and hear this thing. And we can't. We can't with a lot of that stuff, and especially with stuff that happened over 2,000 years ago.
Right.
We didn't see it with our own eyes. We can't hear it. We can't see it. We can't touch it. All we have is this wonderful book that we read, or that tells us.
Right.
And I could see that. I could see that in the disciples. They would probably have the same questions, like, you're telling me that you're this guy, but are you really this guy? I think it would be a little bit more plausible for me if I lived back then, because not in the terribly too distant past, they had the prophets and everybody else. They were very, very spiritual back then, which I envy a little bit, envy a lot, because I don't think we're as spiritual now as they were back then, like to a certain extent. You looked at me funny with that one.
I'm thinking it through. I think sometimes we do ourselves a great injustice on that.
I just read how much they would memorize and pass around pages of the Bible, and like
Yeah,
they
but
held
that's
it
because they
close.
had to do it like that, which is a beautiful thing because they would memorize it. We have access. Now, if we're not taking advantage of the access that we have, then that is a shame.
I don't think we are, to be 100%
Well,
honest.
yeah, but I don't. But look, you're not reading the stories about everybody either. You're reading the stories about the few. You know, a few that did this or did that. I think that we have. I think that we have a different level of access, and I think that makes it a little bit easier. And so, are we memorizing things in the same way? No. Would it be wonderful if we did? Yes, but part of that is we're not doing that because it's not a necessity. In the same way that 30 years ago, I knew everybody's phone numbers.
All right. Yeah.
Doesn't make those people less important.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm reaching out to them less. Doesn't mean I'm not staying in close or closer communication to the people I'm in a relationship with. I just don't have their phone numbers anymore because I don't need to know that anymore. So I think I think sometimes we give ourselves a disservice a little bit.
You know what? I agree with you, and that's one of the. It's one of the key functions of a high functioning person is they don't know all the answers in their head. They know how to get the answers, and they use it to get the answers, but they don't memorize all that stuff, like you said, to kind of get on that one. But let me tell you something that's changing my biblical study, and that is AI. If you will ask your question in AI and give it the verses, man, some of the stuff that they come up with, because they have the whole.
I mean, it's wonderful and scary.
It is.
It's so good. I know. It's true. Go ahead.
But let me tell you
Keep
some of
going.
the examples. Like if I'm on a weekly Bible study with a couple of guys across the country, and we're going through 1 Samuel right now. Like I'll type in the verse, and it'd be like, oh yeah, 1 Samuel, and it referenced this back in Judges, and it referenced this back in Isaiah, and it just keeps going
So
back.
cool.
And it's given me all this more in-depth detail that I would have to go and find myself and flip back to, or just remember that I had read that back then. And so, like, the AI tools are just, it's enhancing my Bible knowledge for sure. And just how easy it is to be able to pick up those pieces or relate different things to each other. Now, I was in the Israel and Prophecy class that Stan's been teaching last night though too. And I was asking it some of the questions like, are you a pre-trib, post-trib, or millennial? What are you?
Oh,
and it's like, well, this
You
is
open
what
that can of
I did.
worms. Okay.
So I was asking it all kinds of questions like that. So it's very in the middle. It's
Yeah.
like, well, it's kind of it's allegorical. The Bible does not say exactly, but this is what other people say. And I'm like, I don't want to know what other people
Right.
say. Like, tell me the details inside the Bible. You have access to the whole Bible. Gather it all and tell me what it means. It's just not quite there.
I know.
But I think it is fascinating. And maybe it's going back to our previous conversation. Maybe it's just me kind of romanticizing the life back then and the religion back then. And like, I would love to have walked with Jesus. You know, I'm sure a lot of us would have. But just to hear him like give a Sermon on the Mount, or just be back in those times when everybody revered religion a lot more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think it's very different. Yes. I also think it's just very different life experiences. And, the people we're reading about in the Bible as obviously they're standout individuals, and there's so much to be learned in their lives. They're also the average guys, right? They're average chicks, whatever. They're also the not the greatest, they've made a lot of mistakes before,
yeah.
they've come into play, or
They had the
or
brothels back then too.
I mean, all of the things. And we're reading about a select few in an entire region full of people. And so, as beautiful as their stories are, it's their stories. And I think that we have to apply some of that same wisdom to current culture, because we tend to, I don't know about you, but it would seem to me that every single generation, people go, this is the worst.
Yeah.
It's getting worse. Everything's worse. We're going to hell in a handbasket. And I'm like, no, we're not. We're really not. Humanity is humanity, and we go through different cycles, and we do different things. And you see, the Azusa Street revival times, and you see, and then we just swing, and we do our pendulums, and we swing back and forth, and we do different things. And we can't just look at just a little subset group and go, this is what this whole group was like, because that's a little bit unfair. It doesn't really speak to the whole, the community as a whole. And in the same way, I can't go down to, I mean, really, I could either go down to the Eureka holding cells, and I could get all those people's stories and go, that's representative of our community. Or I can go to the local church, and I can grab a whole bunch of people there, and I can interview with them with the same questions and go, well, that's representative of our community. Or I could go, you know what I mean? I could go to a million different places. I could go down to the university and grab some of those people and interview some of those people and give them the same questions. And you can't assume that small group is representative of the whole community. What you can do is say, okay, that small group, for whatever reason, God chose them. And oftentimes it wasn't people that we would have necessarily chosen. So what was it? What was it about them? What was the quality that I can learn from? And what did I see happen in their life? And what is the teachable and beautiful and applicable part that I can learn from?
That's fair enough. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we see it in politics, like the boisterous ones a lot of times in the community, like during elections, during the local elections, the boisterous ones in the community. I was thinking landslide on a political way, and then it went the complete opposite. And I'm like, what in the heck? And somebody was like, well, the vocal ones, that wasn't the majority. That just didn't happen to be the majority. The vocal ones were the minority of the situation. So I can see your point. It's just because we're hearing or seeing or hearing those examples doesn't mean it's the majority.
Right. But they are the examples that are in the Bible for us. And so there is a ton of stuff to be learned and gleaned from there. But I think that you used the right wording earlier when you said, I romanticize it, and I think, that life was great. Well, what about all the people that were stoning everybody, and what about all the people that were going to that? I mean, think about, okay, you want to flip that a little bit? Think about a culture where it's okay to pull somebody out of a situation and go, we as a group, mob mentality, we don't like what you're doing, so we're just going to stone you. Yeah. Or we as a group, now we didn't necessarily try you. We can't prove you've done anything wrong. Jesus, we can't prove that you've done anything wrong, but the mob doesn't like you. So the people that have come from all over that are here for this festival, right? Because everybody's in town for this huge festival where Jesus, at the end of the festival, they're crucifying people, and they go to watch it. They follow him down the street. They watch him be beaten. He's carrying a cross, and people are like lining the streets. Oh, this is what we're watching today.
Yeah.
That is a totally different culture.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in that. I don't want that to be my norm. I don't want that to be my culture. There's 3 guys hanging up there on the hill. Oh, I'm going about my normal day. Would you like to buy some fresh tomatoes? I mean, it's weird. That's a weird way of living. So I don't know. I don't know.
I agree with you. We've come a long ways. We've adjusted the rules for a reason, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's so odd. I mean, the markets, think about, the markets are still functioning.
I know.
People are hanging on a cross on a hill. You can see it from the
You
city.
can probably smell it.
And life is going on like normal.
Because it was normal.
Because it was normal.
I know.
But okay, so don't romanticize the whole season. But I think you can romanticize, here's what I'm learning from these people, and how can I apply that to my life? I think you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
We
All right.
so rabbit trailed this whole thing, but it's
We
so
kinda
interesting.
did. It was. So let's talk about the 4 pillars that you talked about in your message.
The 4 pillars that the 4 guards represent.
Yes.
So the 4 guards are interesting because, as I said earlier, typically a prisoner would only have 1 guard. In this case,
But these guys kept escaping all the time, right?
they had escaped one time previous, yes, and so they had a reputation now of escaping. So Herod's like,
Up until this point, they've only escaped
I
one time.
believe so.
Because
If
I
I'm, if I'm
remember
wrong, you can put it in the comments, but I believe so.
there's a whole bunch of different stories where chains were falling off and doors were opening up and everything else. That may be later on.
Yeah. So I believe it had only happened once at this point. I believe we're early on. We're in Acts here. And so instead of just having the 1 chain and the 1 guard, or the 1 guard anyway, he's got 4 guards, 2 chains. 2 chains on him.
4 guards, 2 chains.
And I think that, the purpose of the guards and the chains, right, are to hold him down, to bind him, to keep him from any levels of freedom or escape or being an influence to anybody else, right? All of the things. And so I think they're very representative of the enemy and what the enemy does with us. In many ways, he wants to hold us down. He wants to bind us. He wants to remove our levels of freedom to operate in the ways that God has created us to do so. And so I think that those 4 pillars, where I see the enemy attack over and over and over again, I'm going to compare those 4 guards, I'm going to call them 4 pillars, to 4 essential places where I see the enemy attack. And that is I think you have them there too. Our thoughts, right? Our emotions, our beliefs, and I just went blank. Help me out.
Behaviors.
And our behaviors. Thank you. So our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs, and our behaviors. I think the enemy really comes at us, and they're so tied to one another. And so, even if we look at, if we kind of talked about Peter, and we talked about this transformative move that we see in Peter, this transformative change, the evidence of a historical weeping Peter at the night that Jesus was arrested, and now a sleeping, chillax Peter on the night, because it says when Herod came to get him. So this is the night this is it. You about to die. And he's sleeping. He's pretty calm. And I think for him, those 4 pillars that we're talking about, those 4 things that they represent, the thoughts and the beliefs and the actions and the behaviors, the first Peter that we see is responding to his fears. Were they solid or were they distorted? I'm going to say they were distorted fears based on outside evidence that he's collecting. In other words, Jesus got arrested. I'm part of his crew, I'm part of his people. They're probably coming after me. We do this with our thoughts all the time. This is happening at work. People are getting laid off, whatever. This is happening in this situation. This is how it connects to me. Therefore, I have this to be afraid of, right? I think we do it all the time. But the reality is, yes, Jesus got arrested, but none of the other disciples got arrested that night. So he's operating on this fear of, I could be in mortal danger just like Jesus, which I don't blame the guy. I don't blame the guy. I don't fault him at all. But there's no solid evidence that he has a reason to be afraid. They got the guy they were coming for. It was Jesus. It wasn't you, Peter. And the evidence of that is all of the other disciples, including you, you're off. You're scattered. You're good. Nobody else has been arrested. And so there's the thought process of whatever's happening in his thoughts. There's the emotions that go with that. I think they're totally cyclical. The emotions play into the thoughts play into the emotions, and everything just kind of begins to build. And it affects his behavior because we see his behavior. He's running. He's lying, right? He's denying who he is. He's denying who he knows. He's telling blatant lies. He's running to stay safe, or whatever it might be. So his behaviors are being now affected by his thoughts and his emotions. It's all kind of coming together. But what is the fundamental core of what's happening there? And that is what he believed was being challenged. So he believed, and he said it, he believed that Jesus was the Messiah. He verbalized that he believed that Jesus was the Son of God, that he believed that he was the fulfillment to prophecy. He believed that Jesus was going to come in and change everything. He's been walking with the guy for 3 years. He's watched miracle after miracle. He's witnessed, he's listened. All the teachings that we read over and over and over again, he was there. He listened to him. He got to be a part of all of these things. I mean, he saw with his own eyes. He experienced all of these things. So he believed in all of these things. But in that moment that his belief was shaken, because now Jesus has been arrested and it all kind of looks like it's crumbling. And all of these thoughts come in. Could I be wrong? What have I done with the last 3 years of my life? Have I made a mistake? Is he not who I thought he was? Oh my gosh, am I in trouble now? Could I be in danger now? And all of these thoughts and all of these emotions become these different behaviors. But it's because his fundamental belief was challenged. And so the verbiage that we gave on Sunday morning was that a formal or functional belief for him? He formally believed it, but in the moment, did he functionally believe it? Was he so solid in his belief that he could function out of that belief? And I would say the answer to that would be no. Fast forward. And this part can go fast. Fast forward. He's in jail. You've got every reason now to believe you're about.
All his fears have come.
All of those things have come to fruition. It's all real. It's not presumed anymore. It is real. And you're sleeping. Why? Because now your fundamental belief of Jesus is who he said he is. And He's going to do what he said he was going to do. He already did what he said he was going to do. He's going to continue to do what he said he's going to do. He's got me. Whatever happens to me tomorrow, it's in his hands. And I'm at peace with it. I'm at peace so much so that I'm sleeping. So here's what happens. So his formal belief becomes his functional belief. With the solidity of that, his emotions and his thoughts line up. I'm going to be okay with whatever. So much so that his behaviors, he's sleeping. Evidence the core of his belief. Because his thoughts and his emotions are in alignment. They're in alignment to his core of what he believes. So his core of what he believes, it's not a false belief. It's an accurate belief. It is not a formal belief anymore. It is a functional belief. How he functions will be based on what he believes. His emotions and his thoughts align with his beliefs, and it changes his behavior. Why I call them the 4 pillars is because they will either hold you up, or if you have a Goliath moment and they get forced out, everything will come crumbling down. And it will all be based on the core belief. What do you really, really believe? And here's the deal. You said it earlier. There are times that you have that you're like, do I really believe this, Jesus? Like, what do I really believe? I think it's unhealthy if we're not asking ourselves that question. Because I think that there's going to be circumstances that we have to know that we know that we know that we know that we know what we believe. And I think that there's even times that we can go, okay, well, I have 99 facets of my life, and in all of these facets, I totally believe God's in control. I believe. But maybe that one right there, maybe I struggle a little bit with believing that God's in control of that one, or that I can trust God with that one, or that I can have peace with that one. And I think that God's totally okay with that. And he's like, it's like, all right, Peter, it's okay. You had a crisis of belief moment. God's okay with that.
Crisis of belief. I like that.
God's okay with it. I think I think if we don't have them, we're not really being honest with ourselves. We're not really being honest with God, because he already knows. He already knows. And he'd sure rather have authentic relationship where he's like, why don't you just tell me what you're thinking? Because I already know what you're thinking. So why don't you just talk to me? Just talk to me. And that's real and that's authentic. But I think we have to be willing to say it to ourselves, because somehow we think we're failing as a Christian, we're failing as a believer, we're failing as a minister, we're failing as a whatever, as the leader of our homes, we're failing if we're not like, I got it down and I know. Okay, well, what happens when this circumstance happens in your life? And what happens when that circumstance happens? And in the moment when we go, God, where are you? In this moment, God, where are you? And how did that happen? And why did that happen? And what were you thinking?
I hear that all the time.
Those are honest and fair moments, and he's okay with that. But you do have to be honest and go, okay, where are my thoughts and my emotions in this? Okay, here's my thoughts and my emotions. What does that say about my beliefs? And what am I doing with my behaviors in the midst of that? And you evaluate. You take a step back. Wisdom takes a step back and evaluates and goes, okay, are my 4 pillars being rocked? And what do I need to do with that? And how do I get there? And maybe I need help. Maybe I got to go talk to my pastor, my counselor, my friend. maybe I got to get in my word, and I gotta really dig in on what Scripture says about this or this or this or this. But I gotta firm up a pillar here because I'm feeling a little shaky.
The accountability partners. Let's hang up on, or not, let's hang up. Clink. I'm hanging up on you. Let's pause on that for a minute because I wanted to talk about this. One of the most valuable lessons that I've learned in my professional career is I came into the management position and I was fumbling all over the place. I couldn't make the right decisions. I didn't know what the right decisions were. I didn't know how to make the right decisions. And what my leader taught me was that I wasn't taking a step back. I wasn't looking out. I wasn't getting that 30,000 foot view of the problem and really seeing what the problem was. And I was so confused because in my personal life, here at church or in recovery or whatever it is, I'm the guy that people come to for the answers. And I'm like, so it wasn't translating over into my job, and I couldn't figure out why. I was like, why? So in working on it, I realized that I was the guy out in my personal life because I've made all the wrong decisions. And so I knew what the wrong decision was, and that led me to the right decision. So I knew what the right decision was when people would ask me what to do in this situation. But in my professional life, I hadn't made the wrong decisions yet. So I was having to take a step back. And I wasn't wanting to go down the same path of learning by my mistakes. I wanted to be proactive and look for the correct answers and the solutions before I made the mistakes, without making the mistakes, right? I wanted to make the correct decisions without making the mistakes. And so when you said that, when I saw the light bulb go on in your head when you were talking about it on stage, you're like, I got to step back. I got to look at things. I got to get the overall view of things. And so many of us in our life, we don't step back and take a look out and look at the whole problem, the whole situation. We learn by our mistakes, which isn't a bad thing. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But wouldn't you rather just take a step back and learn and make the right decision by making an educated decision rather than making the wrong decision 4 different times to get to the right decision?
One of the best pieces of advice I ever got from a boss years ago was, she said, Kathleen, it was a position that I had to make a lot of decisions that really highly impacted other families, impacted other people. It was in a school. It was a position, but what she said was, Kathleen, anytime that you feel rushed to make a decision, make yourself slow down. Make yourself realize I am feeling the need or the pressure or the whatever that I gotta make this decision. I gotta do it. She was like, make yourself slow down because you're going to miss something. And if you're going to make a mistake, it's going to be in the midst of that. And what that really is exactly what you're saying. It's slowing down long enough to go, wait a minute, it's all right here.
Yeah.
And hold on. Okay. I got to take a minute I got to see the whole thing. Because when I'm right here, I can't.
And you got to see the things that are coming at you this way too.
Yeah,
You've got to see it all. Yeah.
I got to see all the different parts of it. Yeah. So I got to slow down for just a minute, and I got to see. And there's value, right, in going, okay, hold on, I need to see the details. Okay, I see how that works. Okay, I see how that. And there's value in going, okay, hold on, big picture. Yeah. And then going, all right, now based on, I got in there, I looked close, I pulled back, I got the big frame. It goes back to what we said in the very beginning. Am I responding or reacting in my decision, in my action, in my behavior, in my words, am I responding or reacting? And a lot of times when we're reacting, it's because we're right up here and we feel like I have to do something about this right now. And when we're responding, it's because we went, all right, okay, so hold on. And I think in the message I made reference to it being instead of checking our attitude, which is great. Please check your attitude. Check your altitude. Where are you right now?
Yeah.
Where
That
are you
was
right now?
clever. That was clever.
Just get down there in the weeds, see what's down in there, because sometimes you got to deal with what's down in there, and then get your behind out of there, because sometimes you need to get up here and you need to look at all of it. And I just think it's all kind of tied into that. And I even think, I mean, I see that again. We're going to go back to Peter. Night that Jesus was arrested, he's in the weeds, man. He's in deep. It's all right here. It's all right here.
He's reacting.
He's reacting. Night that he's in jail. Okay. I see the big picture. I see the big picture.
Exactly.
And I'm at peace with it.
Yep. That is great. I think that's a perfect place for us to finish off too. So if you have any questions about what we just talked about, feel free to reach out to one of us. You can email openended@Eureka Faith Center and ask your questions there. Or you can reach out on social media and we'll do our best to answer them. But what I really like to know is when you are questioning your faith, how do you pull back and look at it? Are you in prayer? Are you in meditation? Are you fasting? Like the whole church fasted yesterday, from what I understand.
A lot of us did. Yeah, a lot of us did.
That is not something that I like to do.
He rubs his belly.
Not fasting right now.
I got a picture of his wife's dinner last night. She was like, "This is my dinner." She was so ready for it. She was so hungry.
It was the funniest thing I've ever experienced. But no, how are you reacting to it? So let us know in the comments and feel free to reach out. Pastor Kathleen, as always, it's been a joy to have you.
This is
and
great.
Thank you for the great insight and your message.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you all in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.